I started sketching this a new whiteboard. As long as I don't run out of whiteboards, everything will be fine. I'm going to do this in Lightwave to get a better feel for the dimensions, but I put the magnetic markers, and they kind of mean things a little bit. So I got the water tank as it is. I drew original labels first, and then I'm adding to it. So bedroom office is where it was. Utility dome is where it was. Rock garden, hot tub, tinker, water tank. Okay. So what I'm thinking is the bedroom slash office will be my evening sunroom with a view towards the west. Okay. That will kind of exclude the view of the school bus and the shop. Okay. It'll just have, I'm thinking kind of sort of below ground, but like maybe half and half, so that it's got, I mean, obviously you need to be able to see out. So I'm thinking if I do kind of glass windows towards the west and not necessarily classic dome. I kind of still like my Sydney Opera House idea. So back shell, and then maybe just a flat face or a slightly curved face, but not a rounded shape, right? So kind of vertically and arced. Sectioned windows, right? Maybe a sliding glass door, that kind of thing. So my note on here, underground structures not obvious from above surface. Keep original design appearance, but not functions. Okay. So I've got between the bedroom office and the utilities dome, do a tunnel arch between them. Okay. That'll be essentially underground, more or less hidden. Okay. Might have some skylight tubes or something like that coming up and some vents, but basically it's going to be underground. Off of that will be the littler pods that I could sleep in and so on. And I don't know how many of those. That's good. What's going to be neat about that is I can just build one if I need it, build another one if I need it, you know, kind of like that. So they aren't visible from the top, so it's not going to screw up my overall architecture appearance. Okay. And then I'll have, you know, the water tank where it is, the rock garden, hot tub. Tinker space I might leave underground, or I might have it exposed again, because it'd be nice to have some daylight. Tinker space is pretty much on the south side. So I could give it lots of south facing windows if I wanted to. And again, if I do the Sydney Opera House effect, big overhang, lots of windows, no sun from the summer, lots of sun from the winter, kind of thing. So I can kind of play that up. It's kind of southwest side. And within each of these, if I decide to stay with more or less a round shape, I can still rotate it. I mean, it's not going to be rotating, but I can aim it to where I want it and have the windows facing the right way. So yeah, the bedroom slash office, evening view west. The utilities room could have a sunroom facing the morning sun. Okay, and again, I can rotate it a little bit to get it, you know, because I want to make sure I've got a nice view of that view towards the big hill with the observatory. You know, that's probably where I tend to look the most. All right. So I want to make sure I have that. And if I can berm up the back side of it and have lots of sun facing windows to the front side, to, you know, the view side, maybe a little patio out front, kind of like the rock garden. Okay, now here's the other thing is I don't have to stay with, you know, because originally bedroom's office was a 6-foot dome, then it became an 8-foot dome. All right. Scale fit function. Okay. Between the bedroom slash office and the utilities room, it's about 25 feet or so. I'm going to walk out there with a tape measure and actually measure how much space there is. And I can't do it directly between center lines because of the water tank. I want to give myself a few feet between the water tank and something else so that I don't have, I want to have the dirt holding the water tank together kind of thing so it doesn't tend to bulge. I think, a few feet of dirt would be good there. Yeah, that would be good. So leave a separation between the two, and anyway, so the tunnel arch that's between those two wouldn't be center line to center line. It'll be a little bit offset, which is not a problem. That is basically going to replace what would have been the big dome in the middle. Because originally I had drawn this up with 6 outer domes and then a big dome in the middle as a central room. Okay. So the tunnel arch, it's essentially going to be like the school bus. Okay. Size-wise, pretty close, I think. Maybe a bit shorter, maybe a bit wider, maybe a little higher ceiling, but essentially it'll be the school bus square footage in that realm. Okay. And then side pods coming off of that. And the idea of the side pods is so I don't have to heat the entire thing. I can heat just one part. Now if I do radiant heating or something like that, I can do zones, or I can do spot heating with electric, or I can do spot heating with propane. Solar air heating, solar water heating, whatever I decide to do. I could do a rocket stove. If I find enough stuff to burn is the problem. It's, I don't want to have to haul wood just to burn it just to keep warm, if I can help it. And again, for summer, chimneys to let the hot air out and then draw cool air in from somewhere else. I'm trying to think, how was that in Dubai? There was an efficient housing development. They had their greenhouses, and the problem in Dubai is it's too hot, so they were trying to cool the greenhouses, so they were spraying water in a outlying area and then drawing the evaporated water air into the greenhouse, and that cooled it inside. Yeah, so you could do like a swamp cooler, but not just a direct swamp cooler, have it cooling the air before it gets drawn into the structure. That could be pretty effective. Also, I could do heat exchangers, and this was an idea I had a long time ago, is if I had in-floor radiant heating, that you would pump warm water through the floor to keep the floor warm. Alright, that's really easy to do in zones, so you could just put it where you wanted it, Arduino controlled, whatever, turn it on at a certain time, turn it off at a certain time, measure the temperatures at different points, and so on. Thermal mass, if I had enough solar heated water, warm up a big tank, and then in the middle of the night start running that warm water into the floor, which would keep the room warm. And if you're underground anyway, if my air temperature is 50 degrees and I'm in a sleeping bag, I'm fine. That's better than I got it now, So that's kind of the goal, is to not need as much heat. And that was something that I read again in the wind turbine book. I forget exactly their phrasing, but work on your energy conservation first before you work on your energy production. You know, instead of saying, okay, I need to generate 5 kilowatts. You know, reduce your needs down to 3 kilowatts. Now it's a heck of a lot easier to meet your needs. You know, so don't go overproducing. Work on downscaling first, and then go. Like for instance, last night. Well, I started with, you know, probably 13 volts, 13.1, 13.2, and then sunlight, and then by morning I still had 12.5, and I watched a movie last night. All right. I suspect, I didn't measure it, but I suspect that the monitor and the DVD or the Blu-ray player probably used less power than the laptop would. All right, especially for editing. Editing takes more power. You know, so I was like, you know, I don't really feel like doing nothing important. Let me just, you know, relax. Do that once in a while, maybe once a week. Just say, yeah, you know what, I need to just chill for a while. So back to designs. Scale design to fit function. Okay. Bedroom/office doesn't have to be an 8-foot radius if I'm not actually going to sleep in there and it's not really my office. All right. So think about that. I could make that a heck of a lot smaller. Maybe have like a little futon that I could sit and watch the sunset. And a little bit of this, think about not just now, but when I'm retired. All right. I'm going to turn my inverter on and nuke my cup of coffee again. Because I can. Switch comes on. Beep. It just makes me happy. I don't know why. Okay, so scale to fit functions. And, you know, I'm trying to think about this. What am I going to, you know, how am I going to be really using this going forward? You know, a tinker space that's dedicated to tinkering, you know, to have enough room to set things up and use them. An office that's just basically for writing, you know, so that was one of the thoughts, is I could have a writing pod that is not, you know, is kind of locked into downside. Now, downside, underside, underground. The thinking there was I could just focus on writing and not have too many distractions. So it would be to like literally a laptop and a place to put my cup of coffee, maybe a bowl of popcorn. And that's it. Just get in there and just focus on what you're doing. And a large part of the design of this is following what could be a Mars. Well, one, it's going to follow sort of the outline of the Mars spaceships, you know, Mars Clipper, and also the Mars habitats. You know, you get there, you're going to want to fairly quickly set up your machines, dig into the ground, and you know, get out of the radiation. You know, so you need to, and that's a lot of, you know, I love the idea of building these things as mini robots that can dig for me, so that I could just say, okay, go dig a hole, and I could help it, but it would do the most of the work. Because why not, you know? But I mean, it'd be like, this would give me massive street cred if, you know, it's not only did I write a book and release a series of cartoons, but oh, here's the video, I actually made this shit. It wasn't just like, oh, I think this would work. It's like, no, this works. I've tested it. It works. You know, And I could sit here with a remote control and drive the thing around and say dig a hole from here to here, and then just let it go and time lapse it and watch that it digs the hole for me. How freaking cool would that be? I mean, just, you know, it's almost practical. That's what's scary. It's very hot. It's very good. Okay. The inverter goes off. Boop. Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, it was like, you would want to be, you know, it'd be like CAD, or, you know, a big CNC machine that digs a hole in the ground, right? The CNC is typically subtractive or whatever, and then 3D printing is additive. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you got those the what's the words? Okay, so I've seen a few of them that were, you know, one guy in his backyard just decided he was going to do it. And so he set it up so that he mixed the concrete, and then it went through the funnel or whatever. I don't remember the exact details anymore. So he had to mix it. And then the machine 3D printed a little castle in his backyard for his kids to play in. All right? And this was a few years ago already. So, I mean, it's the same idea as a 3D printer, only it's just bigger. All right? And I think it probably had a resolution of like 6 inches or something like that, or maybe 3 inches per layer. Or, you know, it squirted it out and then it slumped a little bit, and so he just, you know, dialed that in with how much water he put in the mix, and then he just kept, you know, I don't know if he automated any of the mixing, but he just came up with a recipe and then just kept doing it. All right. Now, could I do something like, could I do a ferro cement? Well, you couldn't just lay down ferro cement without the steel. I mean, you can't just pour mortar. It wouldn't be very strong. So I have not yet considered, could I build a machine that could lay the mortar for me into the, I don't really think so. I don't know. Because I've always thought about the mortar sprayers that could spray it onto the surface. If I built the form first, could I use like an auger, like an extruder, to deliver the concrete to me? Because that's one of the things that's slow about it, is you're constantly picking it up and smacking it on, picking it up, smacking it on, smooth it, pick it up, smooth it, pick it up, smooth it. Could you do it like a Wagner power roller? Had not considered that yet. How would that be? I guess the simplest would be, yeah, you'd have, you know, you'd mix it up, dump it in a hopper, have the thing on a little wheel cart or something like that so you could bring it close to you, and then have, you know, 6 feet of, here's the thing is, you could never leave any material in it, because it would set up like concrete, obviously. So that would be really a problem. But I didn't have the resources to figure out laser sintering. That would be fucking cool. Make laser sintered Lego blocks out of local soil. And that would take a lot of power. I should figure out how you make concrete in the first place. I mean, like actually cement, Portland, because it's a few chemicals. I mean, not chemicals. It's resources that you can find. The Bennett Dam up in BC. At the time, they had the world's longest conveyor belt. And what happened was they figured out that there was not just sand and gravel available, but there was some of the main ingredients of cement were available near where they were building. And I don't know if they built the site based on knowing that or not, but what they figured out was they could make their own cement because like 2 of the 3 ingredients are already there. And I think they had to bring one other one in, but they, instead of trucking it from where it was at to where they were mixing, they built this long ass conveyor belt that was 20 miles long or something goofy like that. It was insane. But they were able to mine it, probably process it where they mined it, and then down the conveyor belt this material came off the other end, and then they mixed it with the sand and the gravel and the water, and they made concrete on the site. I don't know. I was like, okay, you know, I already know I've got the sand and the gravel here. Wouldn't it be cool if that white shit ends up being what I need to make concrete? Holy shit, would that be cool? You know, I mean, concrete is $3 a bag, so I can probably go buy it myself, but, you know, wouldn't that be cool if I didn't have to buy anything? Just mix water, catch rainwater in a trash can, mix all the shit together, boom, you got concrete. Ah, how cool is that? You know, I should at least read into it. How do you make it? What is concrete made out of? I think I am going to scratch these lines in the dirt just to take a look at it out there and kind of get a feel for it. The thing about the tunnel arch is I could build that in sections too. So I could build the first 10 feet of it, make a wall, have a doorway, make another 10 feet later. So I can add on to that, which would be pretty cool. As long as I just leave some rebar sticking out the ends. That makes it interesting. 29 minutes later. So yeah, I think that might be the plan, is and I kind of still think that the main tunnel arch may not be that big and then have bigger pods coming off it. That makes it easier to scale. Alright, that's the end of the clip. Bye. It's cloudy and windy, but it's relatively warm. I'm wearing my jacket just because the wind bothers me, but it's really not cold. Alright. So that's an 8-foot wide piece there. I did this in Lightwave just to get the basic dimensions down. This one is actually 10 feet wide, 25 tip to tip with a 5-foot radius. So that would make it 15 feet of straight wall, and that's 16, so that's pretty close. But that's actually laid out as 8 feet instead of 10 because I think that's all I need. And then 2 smaller pods, arbitrary. They could be sleeping or riding pods. This one is almost the same as the bus back to the wheel wells. Alright, and this one would be longer, but I've narrowed it down already. Alright, so these are 6-foot radius now instead of 8. Rock garden is 8. Water tank is 8. Rock garden is 8. Tinker space is 8. Fire pit is 666. Okay. So what I'm thinking, if I look at the hole here, and you see these lines that I arced out, it's roughly 90 degrees. If I'm standing here, I just see the tail of the bus off of that line there. Okay, so I could fudge that over and not even see the bus. Alright. Then come all the way across to about here. is that line. So I could do windows for a sunroom looking west, okay? And if I follow my Sydney Opera House idea, none of this actually has to be a pure dome, all right? So we'll kind of tweak that as we go. But that's basically facing west there, so I get my sunsets. All right, so I could have like a futon here or something to sit on, or just a couple of nice recliner chairs, or I could also set this up so that I had an outside patio, either inside the circle or outside the circle. So if I could come out 10 feet around, did a masonry wall all the way across 3 feet high, something like that, have a little courtyard, okay? Have the cactus on the inside of that. That's kind of cool. And my rock garden is there. So from here, depending where I sit, I got the rock garden, okay? So that's facing west. I do the same thing on the east side. And because this line is not east, what I would do though is I could, again, here's my center point. I do a line from there. I got this tree, that tree, all of my view. And this line is more or less facing south, approximately. So I think due south is about here, based on, yeah, pretty much. No, actually, due south is a little bit more this way. See that line lined up on that little house there? That road goes north and south, so it's a little bit this way. Okay, so that gives me the whole sky there, and the view, and the sunrise, and a couple of trees, okay? And I'm thinking, whatever I do on this side, as far as the layout, kind of duplicated on that side. Because if most of my living space is underground, or I could be in the cold of the winter or the heat of the summer, I want to have access to a space that I can sit inside and still see daylight. Also, this space here, if I had openings going out to there, like a stairwell, I would get some indirect lighting coming down here anyway, so it would naturally light at least a little bit. Alright. So even in the middle of the day, I would see some light coming through here. Plus I could do skylights if I decide to. Alright, so that's that. Now from about here, if I go center line to that, I can do another 6-foot arch, tunnel arch from here to there. It's 16 feet long. That's about the same as a school bus again. Alright. And my thinking is I can build this out in stages. Okay, so and then this is tinker space, could be an 8-foot radius. Okay, nice workshop in here. You know, I could build circular workbenches all the way around, have a center area. You know, I could get a lot done in here. Give myself maybe some windows out this way. Okay. And again, peak the roof so I don't get the direct sun in the summer. Alright. But yeah, from here, the edge of here to there, I could have maybe the underground greenhouse. And then just have a walk-through tunnel, so I don't have a living space, but I could have it as a greenhouse space. Polycarbonate roof at about ground level, so it would get sunlight in. It's kind of facing the wrong way for that. I could also do a series of side-by-side going this way, and then have a tunnel joining them. Okay, there's ideas there. And then the hot tub fire pit there, and the rock garden there. Now the nice thing is, if these are underground, I can basically walk right across here between the fire pit, or you know, the fire pit and the rock garden, and have just kind of an open area here. That would probably stick up above ground, say 4 feet maybe. So I'd be down into the ground, and then I could dirt berm over the top of it, have most of it covered with just an exposed face. That probably again about 5 feet above ground.
So if I'm standing here, I can see over the top of it even. Water tank, 2 to 3 feet above ground, maximum. Probably a roof on it, just to keep water from evaporating so fast. And this would be the duplicate of the first one, whatever I come up with. All right, now coming off of here, if I do another courtyard, I don't want water to hit the courtyard and run in, so I could probably step down, and have this down 2 feet below. You know, kind of just cut it out a little bit and then replant whatever's here. Probably just throw gravel down or something. Maybe pavers just to cut down how much dust blows in, whatever. If I do a masonry wall, rock wall, 2 feet high, I would probably trap most of the dust before it hits me. You know, the stuff that just blows across the ground, I probably would eliminate a portion of that at least. Anyway, I was supposed to be doing something else today, but I just wanted to lay this out and kind of get a feel for it. I think right now I'm 2 feet away from the water tank there, and that should be fine. You know, I'll dig it out, build it, backfill it, pack it, kind of thing, and the same on that. So, probably 4 foot high knee walls, stub walls, and then the arched roof above that. Probably concrete, ferro cement again. And my thinking on this was from earlier, Fly Be Gone. I could build this in increments, make a 4 foot form, build it, knock the form out, come over 4 feet, rebuild it, do another 4 feet, and I would reuse my materials, and then I could force the mud from the outside against the form on the inside. I think would make the most sense. Yeah, I think that could work. I forget if I said it or not, but I'm looking now, instead of these being 8 foot circles, make them 6 foot circles. Just because I don't need that much space. I did an 8 foot because I was thinking of living in the circle. So I can make these a little bit smaller. And I mean, looking at it, I'm living in half of the bus right now. Basically, is all the footprint I need. So the first 15 feet. Less than that, really. So I could easily do what I'm doing in that much room there. Okay. And if I left most of the stuff in the bus that I don't need day to day, this makes this look a lot better. Alright. Make a set of forms for the roof, lay them over there. Waste a couple sheets of OSB. Probably do it with one sheet. Rip it in half, 8 feet wide. Cut my arc. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle either. I could do, because like, you know, look at the school bus even. If I could duplicate that, and that's about 8 feet wide too. They figured it was strong enough for the bus. Maybe think about that. Figure out that shape, and then I could do basically vertical walls up to there. Makes life a lot easier. Huh. Yeah. Because once the concrete is set, and if I put a foot of dirt on top, that might be enough. You know, I don't need 8 feet of dirt. I'm used to living with that bus roof anyway.
Yeah. Kind of marked it off. the two bigger tunnel vaults are basically the school bus. In fact, the two of them combined, if they were that size, would be more space than I have in the school bus right now. So that gives me pause. Yeah, okay. Ponder this for a moment. I didn't even think of this when I hit record. If I can build those for relatively cheap, like, I don't know, $100, $500 a piece, something like that. Do I then need the school bus? Yeah. I almost took the string out there, which it's retarded. I bought official bright orange construction string. And then I'm like, I don't want to get it dirty, so I don't take it outside. I'm like, freaking moron. You know, anyway. I like the idea of duplicating the bus roof. I mean, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, you know, because like the Gothic arches are not traditional arches. A chalet isn't a round arch. It's more of a peak. You know, so there's no rhyme or reason really to what shape your arch has to be. I could do a rounded, I could do a peaked, you know. And if I can more or less duplicate, I mean within reason, the shape of the bus arch, cardboard template or something like that would be fine. And I don't have to lock into any one method. I mean, I don't have to make them out of concrete, or I don't have to do pure ferro cement or whatever. I'm going to have to think about some kind of, I think if I had a 4-foot wall, cows wouldn't run through that. Because I got cow tracks right through the middle of my yard site. One day all the cows ran through here. Some of them went right through there. I have a 1,000-pound cow fall through my living room ceiling. It would not be a good day. Yeah, I think if it's only an 8-foot span, and I could do a beam down the middle or a beam on, you know, if it's 8 feet, come in 2 feet from each side, do a nice vertical pillar beam front to back, concrete. Then I'd only really be dealing with about a 4-foot span in the middle that wasn't supported. I think that would be fine. And if I left the dirt thinner there, put my vents up to the ground level, have some chimney vents coming up, kind of like what the roof vents are now. Maybe a skylight or two. I mean, I'm only talking 16 feet long, I think. So every 8 feet, put a skylight. I'd have plenty of light then. Wouldn't feel too bad. Yeah. Alright, quit farting around. I'm gonna and then work on my digging machines. Excavators, Interplanetary Excavators Incorporated.